Have you ever heard of a man who refused to accept his fate? This is the story of Bola, a man who did not wish to die. It was a quiet morning in the village of Ajeo, when Bola, known for his strength and determination, went to the edge of the village to meet Ogun, the spirit of death. The villagers had always feared Ogun, for he was the one who decided when a person's time had come. But Bola was different. He had heard whispers of an old prophecy, that death could be cheated. His heart filled with defiance as he made his way to the sacred tree where Ogun was said to appear. Standing beneath the towering baobab tree, Bola called out, "Ogun, I have heard stories of your power. But I refuse to accept that death has come for me. I have not yet lived my full life. I beg you, do not take me yet." Suddenly, the air grew heavy. The ground trembled as a figure appeared before him, cloaked in shadows. Ogun's voice boomed like thunder. "You cannot escape what is written. Your fate is sealed, Bola. You cannot outrun it. The time for you to die has come." But Bola, trembling but determined, stepped forward. "I refuse to die today. I challenge you, Ogun. Let me prove that I can change my fate." For a long moment, Ogun said nothing. Then, with a knowing smile, he spoke. "You wish to challenge death itself? Very well, Bola. You may try. But be warned, no man has ever succeeded." Bola's heart raced. He had heard the warnings all his life, but his desire to live, to see his children grow, to experience the world, was too strong. He would not allow fate to steal his future. "What must I do?" Bola asked, his voice steady but his mind filled with uncertainty. "You must cross the Iron River, a river so deep and treacherous that no man has ever crossed it alive. Only if you succeed will I spare your life," Ogun declared, his voice full of finality. With that, he vanished into the mist, leaving Bola standing alone. Bola was left speechless, his heart racing with fear and excitement. The Iron River was a legendary river, known for its fierce currents and dark waters. Stories had been passed down through generations about the terrible beast that dwelled in the depths. No one who had ever tried to cross it had returned. But Bola, filled with pride and determination, believed he could do it. He turned back toward the village, feeling as if the weight of the world was on his shoulders. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the land. Bola could hear the whispers of the villagers as they gathered at the edge of the forest. They had all heard of his challenge, and they feared the worst. "Bola, you cannot do it. No one has ever survived the Iron River," an elder shouted from the crowd. But Bola, his face set with determination, ignored the warnings. He did not come to be afraid. He came to win. "I will return," he said boldly, his voice echoing across the village. And with that, he turned and began his journey toward the Iron River. As he walked through the thick forest, his thoughts raced. "I must do this. For my children, for my wife, for myself." The path was long and treacherous, the air growing thick with humidity. Bola could feel the pressure building in his chest as the distant roar of the river grew louder. He reached the river's edge as night fell, casting the world in darkness. The Iron River stretched endlessly before him, its waters dark and churning. In the distance, he could see shadows moving, creatures hidden beneath the surface. The stories had told of the dangers, the crocodiles, the giant snakes, the whirlpools that would swallow a man whole. Bola stood there, staring at the waters, his heart pounding. But he could not turn back now. His pride would not allow it. He had already told the villagers he would return. "I will cross this river," he whispered to himself. "I will not die today." He stepped forward cautiously, testing the waters. It was colder than he had expected, and the current pulled at his feet with surprising strength. But he pushed forward, each step a battle against the river's force. The water rose higher, splashing around his waist as he waded deeper. Suddenly, a sharp tug on his leg nearly caused him to lose his balance. He looked down to see a giant serpent coiled around his ankle, its eyes glowing in the dark. "No! You will not take me!" Bola shouted, his voice filled with defiance. He pulled at the serpent's body, struggling against its grip. With all his might, Bola managed to free himself, but the serpent was not done. It hissed angrily, preparing for another strike. But just as it lunged forward, a loud crash echoed through the night. The ground shook beneath Bola's feet. He stumbled but caught himself just in time. What was that? Bola thought, his heart racing. Just as the serpent lunged again, a new shadow emerged from the depth of the river, a massive whirlpool forming in the center of the Iron River. "I have to get to the other side," Bola thought, panic starting to set in. But just as he took another step, the whirlpool grew stronger, and something even more terrifying happened. The river began to pull him in, and before he could react, the Iron River was swallowing him whole. Bola fought against the overwhelming pull of the river, his limbs thrashing through the water, but the force was too powerful. The Iron River had always been a legend, but now he could feel its true power firsthand. As the current dragged him deeper, dark shapes swirled beneath him, perhaps the creatures of the river, ready to take him into the abyss. Bola's heart pounded with desperation. The thought of his children, of his wife, flashed through his mind. "I must not die today. I cannot leave them behind." But just as he was about to succumb to the pull, something incredible happened. A bright, radiant light burst from the river's depths, pushing the darkness back. The current stopped. Bola found himself floating, weightless, as if the river itself had ceased to exist. He opened his eyes and saw a figure emerging from the light. "Ogun. I warned you, Bola. The river was never meant to be crossed. But you are not just a man anymore. You have touched something beyond your understanding." Ogun's voice resonated through the air, his form shifting like a shadow in the light. Bola tried to speak, but his voice faltered. What is happening? Why did you bring me here?" Ogun smiled faintly. "I did not bring you here. You brought yourself. You chose to challenge death, and in doing so, you have unlocked a power greater than fate itself. But that does not mean you are free from what is written." Bola's confusion deepened. "What do you mean? What do you want from me?" "I do not want anything from you," Ogun replied. "But you must understand, even with this power, you cannot escape the inevitable. You can delay death, but you cannot stop it. I gave you a chance, but now, your choice has led you to face the truth. If you want to live, you must make a choice no man has ever made." Before Bola could respond, Ogun stretched his hand out, and in an instant, the Iron River was gone. Bola was standing on solid ground once more, but the world around him had changed. The sky was a deep, endless blue, and the air was thick with the scent of earth and fire. It was as if he had stepped into a different realm entirely. Ogun's voice echoed in the distance. "Choose wisely, Bola. Your fate lies in the balance." Bola stumbled forward, his legs weak, his mind spinning. He had always believed in the power of his will, in his ability to fight against whatever life threw at him. But this was beyond anything he could control. What choice did he have now? Suddenly, before him appeared two paths, one leading into a dense forest, the other toward a wide, calm river. The choices before him were clear, but both seemed fraught with danger. He had no idea which path to take. Bola paused, standing at the crossroads. "If I choose the wrong path, will I die?" he thought, his heart racing. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on him, knowing that whichever path he took would lead him to an uncertain fate. But before he could make up his mind, a strange figure appeared from the shadows, the figure of a young woman, clothed in shimmering silver robes. The woman smiled gently and spoke in a soft, ethereal voice. Bola, you are a man of great courage, but your courage alone cannot save you. Only the wisdom you have earned will guide you now. Bola blinked in confusion. Who are you? He asked, but the woman didn't respond directly. Instead, she stepped aside, gesturing to the two paths before him. Choose, Bola. One path leads to your future, the other to your end. Only you can decide. The woman's words echoed in his mind, and with every passing second, his anxiety grew. Should he follow the forest path, dark and twisted, filled with unknown dangers? Or should he take the river path, calm on the surface, but no less mysterious beneath? His mind raced. His heart was heavy with doubt. Could he trust the choices before him? Was the woman a trick of the river, or was she truly trying to help him? Just as Bola was about to make his decision, the sky above him cracked like thunder, and a shadow passed over him, something vast and looming. It was as if the entire world had grown darker, the air colder. You still do not understand, do you, Bola? Ogan's voice boomed, echoing through the sky. Your time is not yours to control. This test, this trial, is not about crossing the river or choosing a path. It is about confronting the very nature of what it means to live and to die. The ground beneath Bola's feet began to shake, and the path before him seemed to twist and warp. The two paths blurred, becoming one, as if the choices were no longer his to make. No! Bola shouted, his voice filled with panic. He felt his body being pulled once more, this time not by the river, but by an invisible force. It was as if the universe itself was reaching out to claim him. I will not die, he cried, his voice desperate, but the force pulling him grew stronger. Bola stumbled forward, feeling his strength begin to drain. Suddenly, a fierce wind blew across the land, and the figure of the woman appeared once again before him. This time, her face was serious, her eyes filled with understanding. You cannot outrun death, Bola. But you can choose how you face it. You must let go of your fear. Bola closed his eyes, his heart heavy with the weight of his decision. He could feel death closing in, but something deep within him, the same spirit that had driven him to challenge fate, still refused to accept it. I will not die like this, he whispered, but whether his defiance would be enough remained to be seen. And then, just as he thought he couldn't fight it anymore, the ground beneath him split open, and the world around him changed forever.